Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/Tales from Retail, where Karen steals an empty ring box, comes back, and demands the ring. What happened next? Let's find out. I work in a jewelry store, and we're usually blessed with great clients. Lately, the crazies have been showing up. It's important to note I'm the only one on the sales floor at that moment because I'm only working with one other person, and she's chilling in the back because the mall was dead. So I get to work and start doing the usual, fixing some displays, cleaning the glass, etc. When, as usual, I gravitate towards the ring section. Rings are my favorite piece of jewelry, so I always end up by that display, and it's become my baby. I notice there's an empty ring holder, so I go to the ring drawer, which is across the store from the ring display, and choose an adequate replacement. I unlock the display, place the ring on the ring holder, and securely lock the display. I leave the empty ring box on top of the display and head behind the registers to get an elastic band to put on the box. An elastic band on the box means the box is empty and the item is on display. I head back towards the ring box, the ring displays, and the empty box directly behind the front door while the registers are at the back. But as I'm halfway there, this lady runs into the store from one of the tables outside, grabs the box, and runs away. It's not the worst issue since there was nothing of value inside it and I got a clear look at her unique face, but it'll be inconvenient when we go to sell the ring. I tell my coworker who texts the manager, but all seems to be going well until 2 hours later when the box thief returns. She'll be C, I'll be me. C, excuse me, I bought a ring here and the box is empty. Me, knowing she's BSing me. Oh, I'm sorry, may I see the box? C, hands over the box. I really expected better service from a company like this. Me, sees it's the same box for the ring I displayed. I'm sorry, ma'am, when did this happen? Yesterday afternoon. Me, do you have the receipt? I threw it away immediately after. Me, that's all right, your name should be in the system. I can find the purchase that way. My coworker will need to override the system to let me do a search. Just give me 1 second. This is a lie. I got my coworker and told her to call security. Me, all right, ma'am, turns out I don't need an override. May I have your last name? C, gets a very nervous look on her face. This is really unnecessary. You're treating me like a criminal. Me, spends the next 5 minutes wasting time and acting like I don't know how to do my job. I'm the youngest working there, so it's believable. Security arrives. C, what's going on? Me, I wasn't born yesterday, ma'am. You're treating me like a criminal. That's because you are exactly that. And we have the next story ahead of us. Karen called the store to complain I was rude, didn't realize she was talking to me. On a particularly busy shift, I was running a register to help get the checkout line down. We're a small store, so we have customers form one line and we call them over one by one. When the line got down to a reasonable length, I finished ringing my customer, flipped my light off, and turned to take a phone call that had been holding for me. This lady drops her items on the counter with a huge clatter, and I look up at her abruptly. After reining in my ABF, active B face, I apologize and tell her so-and-so can ring you out, this till is closed. She grabs her stuff and starts to huff back, but then drops it back on me. I look over and my main cashier had already started to ring in the next person. Karen looks at me and says, "So you expect me to wait in line again?" Acting as if it was the most unreasonable thing in the world. At this point, I swallow my ire and say, "Nope, I'll just ring you out right here." I don't smile or make small talk the entire transaction. And then, right before she leaves, she does the thing that only high-level Karens do. She pointedly leans in to check my name tag and looks me in the eye. I make every effort to plaster as benign and neutral a look on my face as I can as she leaves. I have no interest in showing fear to an already agitated Karen. Frankly, at this point, I don't even care. Now I have a pretty distinctive voice. It's quite low-pitched. However, when I'm in happy retail mode, it tends to travel up half an octave or so. A couple hours after the initial event, my day is turned around and I feel pretty good. The phone rings. The following exchange happens. Me, cheerily. "Thank you for calling Retail. This is my name. How may I help you?" Karen, "Can I talk to a manager, please?" At this point, I don't recognize Karen. Me, "I'm the manager on duty. How may I help you?" Karen, "Yeah, I'd like to report an incident I had in your store. One of your cashiers was extremely rude to me." Me, sincerely concerned that something happened. I'm sorry to hear that. Can you tell me what happened? Karen proceeds to relate story, and then she acted like it was a total imposition to help me. I had been waiting in line for 20 minutes and she just didn't care. So I asked Karen which register she was at, and that's when I realized she's talking about me. I recognize I have a choice: continue to allow her assumption or correct her and deal with the fallout. Me, sounding stern and appalled while maintaining my higher-pitched voice. Really? Well, that's unacceptable, ma'am. I apologize for that, and I will be speaking to her right away. Karen, it's just re-explain scenario and how she finds it just terrible. Me, indignant. Oh, I understand completely. She and I will sit down and talk about that. I will make sure she understands my expectations. Karen thanks me and hangs up. It was so satisfying somehow. I can't say why. Well, I hope you sit down and talk to yourself over a cup of coffee later. And we're moving on to the next story. Finally went off on a customer and totally got away with it. So I work part-time at a convenience store while going to college on my GI Bill. Really, it's just to keep me busy when I'm not in school or gaming. We recently had 2 people quit, so my part-time hours for the last couple of weeks have been full-time. Stretched between full-time school, full-time work, and full-time gaming, my days have been much more stressful than normal. And today, I got a Karen in line. Behind her is a regular customer who I've waited on a million times. I was ringing her up, and she had too many items for our bag carousel, so I had to put some off to the side. When she turned it to begin picking up her bags, some fell over to the ground. I go to pick them up, but that's not enough for her. She demands that I give them to her for free, which I can't, because I dropped paper towels and napkins. I explain I can't since nothing broke, and she goes off on a tangent about how rude I was, threw her stuff on the ground, and this is why I'm clerking in a store and don't have a real job. I look around and see no one else around besides my regular, so I lean in real close and go, "Hey lady, you're a bit of a bee, just so you know." She's flabbergasted, starts yelling and screaming for my manager, so I call him up. He listens and then asks me what happened. I tell him she began yelling, so I told her she was being rude, and I never called her a bee. My manager says he knows me personally and knows I would never do that. She points to the regular behind her and tells my manager that he heard it. The regular goes, "Void Junt didn't say anything like that. This lady's nuts." So my manager tells her that since her transaction is over, she has to leave. She's red in the face at this point and storms outside, saying she's gonna fix my butt. I watch her go outside to make sure she isn't coming back with a gun or anything, but now she's screaming at her husband in her car. He comes in after a minute or so and apologizes to me and says he knows how she can get and I should just ignore her. He apologizes for the trouble again and they leave. However, I feel bad for the husband. Hang in there, man. We're going to have the last story tonight. I now hate $2 bills. I was working a solo shift at a store. Man comes in buying a neck pillow. As we go to the register, he tells me, "Oh, just so you know, I'm paying you all in $2 bills. I'm trying to get rid of them." "Oh, sure. But if I may ask, do you have any other forms of payment?" Item was $50. I would have rather gotten 20s or so. Customer looks at me and scoffs. "Why? Can't you count in even numbers or something?" "I would just prefer another payment, but if that's all you have, I'll still take it." "Of course you'll take it." He jabs my name tag on my chest and says, "Money is money." I'm like, okay. A little upset that he's being rude, but I just focus on the bills and the computer. He shoves a handful of bills into my hands. I take my time counting them, sectioning them off into 10 so I can keep track and don't get confused. He sees me doing this and mumbles, "Effing idiot, can't count." I'm human too. I react, of course, and audibly sigh. I look up to see if it's genuine, as I do every bill. I get my counterfeit pen out to mark a little spot just to be safe. He says even louder, "So you can't count and you can't tell bills apart. You have skills." At this point, I'm like, F this guy. I say nothing, but I'm visibly upset and irritated. I finish counting, hand him the extra bills. I put the receipt and his change on the counter and roughly close the cash register and walk away from him. He yells at me, "Honey, if you can't handle customers like me, you shouldn't work retail. No one asked you to work here," and stomps off. Just had to get it off my chest. Also, the reason I was reluctant to take $2 bills in the first place is that my till and deposit don't count them or have a place for them. Well, thanks for everyone who listened. Thanks to everyone who put the likes on. I'm waiting for your comments below the video, and I'll see you soon.